I would say we got a good crew. Tim Allen, I'm running I'll be running it. And let's get started. Pat, first item is April revenue versus expenditure.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. The big highlight for April is it includes the $41.2 million Eversource personal property tax payment that is made up of 24.8 million in principal and 16.4 million in interest. And it spans from fiscal year 2013 to 2021.
Right, that's great. And does that show? I don't have that report in front of me. Where does it show in the report?
The principal shows up under real estate and personal property tax, and the interest is under penalties, interest, and other taxes.
Great. So 41 million more than we had. For those of you who are, is that the only thing you wanted to highlight, Pat?
Yeah, that's really the major point I wanted to make on the April report.
Okay, great. Let me just say, for those of you who are might be interested in this, on Friday, we heard that the Supreme Judicial Court refused refused to hear Eversource's appeal. In other words, they lost their appeal at the appellate tax board, or they originally lost that. Then they appealed it and they lost. That was when we were celebrating in February. And then they went to the SJC apparently, and the SJC said they would not hear it. So that's the end of the line on 12 and 13, but they could start the whole on 2012 and 2013. They could decide to challenge us on other ones. It's up here, Timmy. We just have a technical issue here. I'm on the phone and I'm just checking with the iPad. I'm on a meeting. I think it's all right, but I just put it in this thing. So the Eversource, sorry, excuse me for that. Eversource could still appeal for years beyond 12 and 13, but they've lost forever on 12 and 13. So, and we have $41 million. So that's great. So good job. Anything else, Pat?
Nope, that's it for the revenue expenditure report. I also have the law department appropriation report.
Oh, you've got that. Okay, good. What do you got for that? Is Lisa coming, or are you doing it in place of Lisa?
Yeah, Attorney D'Souza isn't available, but she had asked me if anybody has any questions on the expenditures. There's really not much in April, but they can reach out to her directly and she'll work with them on that.
Any questions for Pat on either of his items? Okay. I can't. Is someone speaking on the meeting, or is that other commentary?
It sounded like background noise.
Background. Okay.
Yeah.
Councilor Govan, are you on this committee?
I'm not sure.
I'm not asking for any other reason, just curious of whether we have two members of the committee or not. I think it's Councilor Davila that's the other
I think so too. Councilor Walsh is also here.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yep, Catering, thank you for coming. All right.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Zeta is, yeah, she's the third.
Who is?
Zeta.
Oh,
So I am on the committee. Do you need anything from me, Councilor?
All right, welcome. This is your official welcome. There you go.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions on the first two items?
Well, I honestly, I don't know if, well, yeah, you should be able to answer the question. I was wondering what Eversource's rationale is for not wanting to pay their taxes.
Well, we didn't really speak to them directly. When Mike and I got involved in it, we put out a couple of press releases and pushed in other ways. But the theory was they were protecting their ratepayers. Now, that didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense to Mike. It didn't make any sense to anybody because they were incurring these interest charges every day. As
Mhm.
Pat said they incurred $16 million of interest charges. But I guess they thought that the valuations approach that they favored would save ratepayers money. It doesn't make any sense to me. They've spent millions and millions of dollars in interest, but I think that's the best answer I can give you, Zaida.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Patrick, for that report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to item 3, reading success by 4th grade grant increase, no match required. We have Molly or Lindsay here.
Sure, I can speak to that. This funding is from a variety of sources, and it's for the conference that was run by our Reading Success Manager, Chrissy Howard, for early literacy providers in March. So there wasn't enough funding in the budget to pay for all the expenses. So we received a variety of donations, which totaled the $15,150.
Excellent. And did that cover the expenses for the conference?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
And that's great. Did the grant come from the Davis Foundation or somewhere else? Or?
There was some additional funding from Davis and also from other donors as well.
Excellent.
I don't have names with me, but yeah.
That's fine. All right. Anybody have any questions on that? Item 3, reading success by 4th grade. That's great. That's all good news. Thank you, Molly. Let's move on to number 4, Mason Square Library donation. I don't know if there's anything you want to say on that, Molly or Lindsay.
Well, that's every year we have a really wonderful partnership with the Mason Square C3 group, and they gave us a grant or a donation in the amount of $500 to spend on programming at the Mason Square branch.
Okay, excellent. Any comments or questions on that? Okay, thanks, Molly. Moves us on to item 5, Valley Bike Station Equipment Grant, $50,000, no match required. Is that you, Chris?
Yeah, it is, Tim. The grant was applied for, together with DPW and planning, and it is for the installation of construction of bike pads and the rental bikes through Valley Bike. And this one will be placed up in Indian Orchard at the plaza on Main Street near Parker Street.
So this is really for an additional, if you
Yeah,
will.
another station. That section of the city didn't have any of the bike share. So this is for the location for the bike share up in the Indian Orchard section.
That's great. That's excellent. You must be happy about that, Counselor Govan.
You know that. Thanks, Chris.
Well, she'll be happy again. I got another one later.
All right, good. That's good. Probably private ways or something. But anyway.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so excited. This is my day.
Okay. Any questions for Chris on item 5?
If I may, Chris, this is very exciting for Indian Orchard because I don't know if this is public news or not yet, but in addition to that station, we're going to be getting another one with the help of Eastman Foundation out here, Eastman Chemical. So I'm just very excited. Thank
And I
you.
got another one for you later.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Love it.
Your honeymoon period, Counselor.
I know. I don't want to wake up.
All right, item 6.
Can we say,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
say what a wonderful, can we say what a wonderful addition Zaida is to the city council? And how important
Absolutely.
more women?
You can absolutely say that, and I will agree with you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Catering.
Thank
Appreciate that boost for your teammate. That's nice. All right, item 6, health services for the homeless grant increase. No match required, over $602,000. That's great. Is that you, Helen?
That is me. Thank you, Counselor Allen. So this is an increase to our health services for the homeless grant. The council already approved the initial amount. It is for our medical, dental, case management services for the homeless population that we serve in 3 counties, Hampden, Hampshire, and Berkshire. Thank you.
Excellent. Could I just ask what the original grant amount was? If we're adding 602,000, was it a big one to begin with?
You certainly can. It was 1.8 million, I believe, and this 600,000 is added to that to bring us to the 2.4 million, I believe, which is our annual allocation for that grant.
That's great.
Excellent. That's great. Yeah, so that's item 6. Anybody have any questions on that? Counselor Govan, Counselor Walsh, or anyone else?
No. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. That's great. Thank you, Helen. Moving on to number 7, GEU grant increase. I don't know what GEU is, so someone has to help me on that.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. This is a grant increase for the police department for the GEU, which is the Gaming Enforcement Unit. We received this funding from the Mass Gaming Commission. And this increase is solely due to a miscalculation in the FY22 overall budget. Fringe is offset to this grant and the fringe calculation was wrong. So they're actually giving us the additional $118,000 in order to make us whole on the fringe benefits for the officers in the GEU.
Excellent. Did we have we had an original grant for that, Lindsay?
Yep.
This is an increase.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, any questions from anybody on that one? Item 7. 7 out of 14, we're halfway. All right, item 8, library donation, $100,000, promise realized. I remember, that looks like a familiar campaign name to me. Is that you, Molly?
I'll just briefly say, Matt Blumenfeld is here to speak on behalf of the foundation, but this is part of the $2 million Promise Realized campaign for the East Forest Park branch, and I'll hand it off to Matt.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Molly, and
welcome, Matt.
You guys, yep, nice to hear your voice, Tim, and it's nice to see so many familiar faces. This year's contribution gets us up to, I believe, 1.325 million of the 2 million total that we pledged to the city. We're hoping to move a little faster. We paused fundraising for COVID. We're starting to get rolling again. We've got a couple of commitments coming in, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to close this out in the next couple of years. But we're just trying to, be as responsible as we can to ourselves and to the city. So we're really delighted to get this piece of funding in place, and I look forward to coming back next year with more good news. And I would just say that with this contribution, the foundation will have I think total commitments to the city library this year will be in excess of $500,000. So we're continuing to support the city library in as many ways as we can. So thank you.
Excellent. So at that 1.325, is that what you've raised, or is that what you've given into the city?
That's what's given into the city. We have another couple of $100,000 sitting in our account, and then we've got other pledges coming in. We've raised about 1.7 in commitments, and we've transferred of that 1.7. We transferred 1.3 of the about 1.4, 1.5 that we've gotten in. we've gotten in, but we'd like to keep a little bit of a buffer just in case pledges come in slowly.
Great. Well, we appreciate it. That's great. Great job on the campaign. And the library's awesome. It's good to have it open, the community room, etc. It's nice. Any questions from Matt, from anyone? Okay, thank you all for that, Molly and Matt. Let's go next to budget transfer within a department, Board of Assessors. Patrick, are you on this one? Or Lindsay?
Yeah, I'm gonna cover for Patrick for the subcommittee meeting. So this is a transfer of $25,000 from their salary and wages line over to their professional services account. They had increased legal expenses associated with the Eversource case. Since the appeal happened this year, it was a little more than in previous years. So that's what this transfer will cover for them for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I spoke to Patrick today because we were talking about the Eversource case, and appreciate you doing the report on it. There is a lawyer, an outside lawyer who we paid for all these Eversource challenges, etc. But that's why the transfer is being made. Any questions on that from Councilor Walsh, Councilor Goban? Anyone else?
No, thank you.
All right, we're good. Let's move on to item 10, budget transfer within a department. 10,000 procurement advertising. Somebody here to talk on that?
Yep, I'll speak to this one as well. So this is a transfer from the procurement salary and wages line into its advertising account. And this is to cover required advertising expenses associated with upcoming bids through the end of fiscal 22.
And that's advertising for positions, for RFPs or?
RFPs and bids, yeah.
RFPs and bids, excellent. Any questions, anybody? Hearing none, let's move on to item 11, grant acceptance.
Councilor Walsh has a question.
I have
Oh,
my hand-
sorry.
Yeah, that's all
Sorry.
right. Yeah, I was just, I'm sure this is affecting other departments too, this kind of increase. How would you categorize how much of an increase this issue is? Is it like all departments? Is it 5%, 20%? Because advertising, obviously, we all know, there's been a dramatic increase.
Well, this is the only department that's requested a transfer as of now. I would say procurement probably has the most advertising expenses of any of the departments, since they're the ones who advertise all the bids. So as of right now, it's really just procurement who've requested a transfer for the advertising.
But city council does a lot of advertising, doesn't it? And
Yeah, that goes through the city clerk's office, and so far she's been able to cover that within the budget.
okay, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Councilor Walsh. Anyone else? I don't see any other hands raised. Okay. Grant acceptance, no match required for Thomas J. O'Connor Animal Control and Adoption Center.
Yes, Lori Swanson here from Thomas J. O'Connor. We get a grant request through the Foundation for TJO Animals to purchase in-house radiology equipment. And so that is all set. The room is done and we're just ready to move forward with that.
Welcome. Well, welcome, Lori, for coming to the meeting. What would the digital radiology unit, what would that help you do?
So, it will give us the ability to, in actual time, do diagnostics on animals that come in that are in critical condition, as opposed to transferring them to other agencies or other hospitals for those kinds of diagnostics.
Great. And is this your first time at a city council committee meeting, or are you
This is number 2.
It's number 2. I'm sorry, that's number 1, but welcome. You replace Pam as the
Yes.
person?
Yep.
Well, welcome. Congratulations on that. And thanks for joining us. Any questions for Lori?
I'd just like to say welcome also.
Thank
and
you.
good luck.
Appreciate it.
Yes, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing no one else, we're on item 12, which is a grant acceptance, no match required for
Yeah,
pre-development assessment report for 60 Byers Street from the Historic Preservation Fund. Is someone here to speak on that?
yeah, this is a reimbursement from to the Historical Preservation Trust from Blue Tarp for the assessment. And the assessment was for the review of documents and assessments for architectural structure and electrical plumbing for the preparation of an RFP for the sale of the property for future development.
Do we own that property now, Robert?
Yes, we do. And we're looking to get an RFP out to sell it and for future development. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the property.
Is that a hotel or is that special architecture thing building up there?
Yeah, it's right off State Street.
Yeah, wasn't there an unusually, is this the modern looking kind of building that you're referring to?
I couldn't give you that answer. I can give you the answer later. I mean, I'm not sure.
It's okay.
It's
just a curiosity
Yeah.
question. There was
Okay.
one. It's all right. All right. Well, glad you're on top of it. Anybody have any questions for this grant that's going to be used for this RFP? I don't see any other hands up except Caterings. I think that's a holdover. All right, doing well. We got
You're muted, Counselor Allen.
thank you. Private ways, $1.5 million. Chris, I'd say this is probably yours to discuss.
And the other thing I just wanted to mention, Tim, after item 14, there are two items that I need to address that are on the council agenda tonight. They just didn't make it onto this list that I just wanted to go through real quick.
Okay.
The mayor has set aside $1.5 million to do private ways. We just opened bids last week for about $1.6 million worth of private ways around the city. And so what our goal is now is the private ways that we just opened were basically for minor upgrades, but basically resurfacing of as many roads as possible. We actually have 20 of them that we're doing. The goal of this money would be to take 3 to 5 streets that are in severe disrepair that need a lot of reconstruction, dirt roads that have a lot of homes on them. And before Councilor Govan asked me, yes, streets like Mishon Street, streets like that. And then at the same time, be able to do another 8 to 12 of standard private ways in the city.
That's excellent. Councilor Govan's predecessor, Councilor Ramos, would be very happy to hear all this.
But she gets all the credit now.
That's right. I'm taking it all too. No, I shared with him this progress, Chris, and he was very excited and he wanted me to make sure that I told you thank you for him.
I take cash.
I'll let him know.
Yeah.
All right, are there any questions for Chris on this? I spoke with Chris earlier today on this, so I'm all set with my questions. Anybody else got any questions?
You're muted, Councilor Walsh.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering, Chris, is there a list of the private ways that are going to be done?
The under this bill, no, or under, excuse me, this bond, I don't want to say bond, under this 1.5, I have not developed that list yet. The one that we opened last week, yes, there is a list for that, and I can send that to you.
So does this mean that there'll be additional?
Yeah, this is additional.
How about in the Forest Park area? Are there?
The top one on the list happens to be Buena Vista Plaza. How about that?
It sounds good to me. I've been getting a lot of calls on that, believe it or not.
Yeah, there's we put them all around the city. There's 20 of them, and I'll send that out to everybody tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good to hear that there's some road work that'll be helping people out. That's great. Thank you, Chris. Any other questions on that? Hearing none, no, let's move on to, this must be a Lindsay, free cash to OPEB trust. Lindsay goes for the big money, 2.7 million.
Yeah, I have the boring stuff, is what you mean, is what I usually have. So this is a transfer from free cash, our 10%, our annual transfer to the OPEB trust. This year's free cash being 27.6 million, we'll be transferring 2.76 million over to the OPEB trust.
Okay. It's a big number.
Mhm.
And-
That our plan 10% every year of free cash.
Yes.
And can you just remind me what OPEB is?
OPEB is other post-employment benefits, so it's health insurance for our retirees.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions on that? Completes the original agenda here. We'll have the Signoli portion of the agenda in a second, but anybody got any questions on what we have so far? All right, Chris, we'll move it over to you.
Sure, there are two other items on the agenda tonight. The first one, the DPW has received $766,000 from the Gaming Commission. Every year, the Gaming Commission is allowed for us to submit applications for impacts related to the casino. The $766,000 is a 1/3 of the $2.3 million. And basically what we want to do is redo East and West Columbus Avenue. It was obviously not done as part when the casino opens. So the $766,000 is from the Gaming Commission. The city's match will most likely be my Chapter 90 funds, and it would be work that would be done most likely next spring as part of our paving program for next year. Before I go on, I just want to make sure anybody had any questions on that one.
I would have one question, but I'll defer mine until someone else has one. Anybody? Just speak up if you do. I don't see any hands being raised. My question would be, or is it redesign as well?
Basically, it's taking what's there, paving it, bike lanes. And one of the problems I've always had with East and West Columbus Avenue, the lane arrangements are really bad when you get to certain areas through there. So we're going to be correcting a lot of those. And that roadway has not been upgraded in a while. And we got some pavement issues out there. So it's basically from beginning to end on both East and West Columbus Avenue.
Oh. Okay, that sounds good. That was your first thing, 766,000. Anybody got a question on that? Just speak up if you do. Not hearing anyone. Okay, Chris, item Signoli addendum number 2.
The DPW has also received an award from Mass DOT for shared streets for $187,000. And that shared streets is for 3 specific projects. Number 1 is improvements at the intersection of Dickinson and Fountain Street, pedestrian improvements, crosswalks. It's a heavy area for kids walking to school, Washington School, etc. So that area is going to be upgraded. The second item is on Allen Street at Allen Park Road. There is some bus stops there. And so we're going to be installing some crosswalks, handicap ramps, pads for the bus area there. It's really, really substandard at this point. So we received that money. And the last piece of it is bike pads, the electric bike program that will actually be going into Myrtle Street Park in Indian Orchard. So that was the third one. And we've made a number of applications. This came through Shared Streets. There's probably about 6 or 7 others that funds are available through CDBG that we're going to be installing anyways. This was specifically a part of an application that we did to Mass DOT. So the three projects are Dickinson Street at Fountain, Allen Street, and then the bike system at Myrtle Street Park.
Sounds good. And do these, like, do they come from a list of requested projects, or like I'm interested in all three, but the one that's in my ward is Allen and Allen Park Road. Did
Yeah.
that come from the school department, or how does that get to you?
To tell you the truth, that actually started with a citizen and conversations with the PVTA, because if you drive by that area on the opposite side of the road from Allen Park, there's just a bus shelter and there's no way to get to it. It's, it's not maintained or anything like that. And it's got heavy amount of traffic. PVTA made separate applications very similar to this, and I think received 3 awards as well. So we did this one because we knew there was going to be a lot more involved with doing the crosswalk and, curb cuts and things like that. So PVTA got a lot of money for locations for just new bus shelters and, making them ADA compliant. But this happened to be an area where we had a little bit more concern about traffic and wanting to make sure we got it done from an engineering standpoint.
That's great. That's great. Safety these days. Excellent. Do you expect these on the agenda tonight? Did they make?
They are on the agenda. They just weren't on the agenda for the
Fine.
subcommittee. That's why I just wanted to bring them up.
I appreciate it. Any other comments from anyone on those items, or any other questions on any of the items? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Councilor Govan, if you'd like, you can make a motion to, if you are comfortable, you can make a motion to accept these items. You and I could vote. We're members of the committee.
So moved.
All right, all in favor? I say yes. Aye, okay, it's 2-0. And so we approve the items on the Finance Committee tonight. Thank you, everyone, for attending, for your courtesy, and for coming and answering our questions. And we'll see some of you at 7.
Yep, thank you. See you.
Nice job, Tim.
Have a great
Ciao,
night.
Tim.
Thank you. Take care.